Kev Townsend completely lost his temper in today's episode of Emmerdale, confronting Ross Barton and even threatening him with a cake slicer. It may have been an unusual choice of weapon, but it was certainly an intense moment. The reformed ex-con recently returned to the village, hoping to reconnect with his son, Ross Barton. Leaving his troubled past behind, Kev has no interest in Robert Sugden or returning to crime. His only goal is to build a genuine bond with Lewis. That task has proven far from straightforward. Although Lewis has started to give his father a chance, Ross Barton and Nicola have remained firmly against Kev's presence. Both have been convinced that it was only a matter of time before Kev let Lewis down. Despite their suspicions, Kev had done nothing to betray Lewis's trust. However, someone took matters into their own hands by breaking into the café and stealing money. When Lewis and Nicola found the place ransacked, they immediately blamed Kev. They confronted him at the Anderson house, where he was quietly making pancakes for breakfast. Kev insisted he had nothing to do with the robbery, leaving Lewis unsure whether to believe him. His doubts grew when he realized Kev's bakery van had been left unlocked. Inside the vehicle, he discovered the cafe's missing cash box, making it appear as though Kev was guilty. In reality, someone had deliberately planted the evidence. The true culprit was Ross, and while that revelation wasn't entirely unexpected, the biggest shock was that Nicola had helped him carry out the scheme. In an astonishing twist, Nicola had played a role in robbing her own café. Ross felt confident that his plan would succeed. He had carefully created an alibi by spending most of the evening with Manpreet Sharma, ensuring nobody would suspect him. His biggest mistake was confiding in Mackenzie Boyd. Ross remains unaware that Mackenzie has learned the truth about baby Layla. Although he has noticed his friend acting strangely, Mackenzie has been doing everything possible to hide his growing anger. Rather than confronting Ross immediately, Mackenzie visited Kev instead. During their conversation, he revealed that Ross had framed him, leaving Kev puzzled about why Mackenzie was suddenly so eager to expose his friend. Kev quickly connected the dots and realized Ross was the man Charity had slept with. Already furious over everything that had happened, he finally snapped and decided to confront Ross directly. At Daleview, Kev sat opposite Ross with a cake slicer in his hand and demanded that Ross admit to Lewis that he and Nicola had staged the café robbery together. Ross refused to confess, prompting Kev to calmly put the cake slicer down before suddenly launching himself at Ross and wrestling him to the floor. Unfortunately for Kev, the timing could not have been worse. Lewis walked in just as he found his father holding Ross on the ground. Horrified by what he saw, Lewis ordered Kev to leave immediately. Kev once again pleaded that he was innocent, but his violent confrontation only convinced Lewis that he had been responsible for the robbery all along. Believing he had destroyed any chance of a future with his son, Kev began to unravel. Later, inside the pub toilets, Kev cornered Ross and warned that he knew all of his secrets. He also reminded Ross that plenty of villagers already despised him. Kev declared that it would only be a matter of time before those enemies turned against Ross, insisting that when they did, Ross would be finished. Ross is rarely intimidated by anyone, but this warning clearly rattled him. Could Ross's world finally be on the verge of collapsing? Emmerdale star Lawrence Robb has shed light on Mac Boyd's true intentions during his explosive confrontation with Ross Barton, as the pair become caught up in a life-threatening showdown. Upcoming episodes reveal that Mac lashes out at Ross after discovering the truth about Ross's past relationship with Charity Dingle. Mac has now learned that baby Layla is the biological daughter of Charity and Ross. Most people in the village still believe Charity acted as a surrogate for her granddaughter Sarah, carrying the baby on her behalf. However, a handful of residents now know the real story, and when Mac finally challenges Ross, events take a dangerous turn. Discussing the dramatic storyline, Lawrence explained what was really going through Mac's mind before the confrontation. During next week's episodes, Ross is sent crashing from a barn mezzanine after Mac shoves him, leaving viewers questioning whether he will survive and whether Mac has become capable of killing. Lawrence said Mac is struggling to cope with everything he has recently discovered. While Ross's betrayal has left him devastated, he is also deeply affected by everything Charity endured because of Dr. Todd. According to the actor, Mac is overwhelmed with heartbreak. Not only is he shattered by learning the truth about Layla's parentage, but he is also devastated that Charity carried such emotional pain and kept the secret hidden for so long. At the same time, he is consumed with fury towards Dr. Todd for everything that happened. Lawrence explained that Mac feels especially betrayed by Ross because they had grown close in recent months. Discovering that Ross had known the truth about Layla all along has damaged that friendship beyond repair. Although Mac can understand Charity's reasons because of how much he loves her, forgiving Ross is far more difficult. He added that Mac's anger is focused less on the affair itself, particularly as Mac has made similar mistakes in the past, and more on the painful reality surrounding Layla's true parentage. The actor revealed that Mac invites Ross to help with work at the farm, but insists there is no carefully planned revenge plot behind the meeting. Instead, Mac is acting purely on emotion. He desperately wants Ross alone so he can confront him face to face and hear the truth directly from him. Once they arrive at the farm, the situation rapidly spirals out of control. Nothing that follows is prearranged, as the confrontation quickly becomes fueled by raw emotion. Lawrence noted that Ross also carries resentment over the situation. Although the pair disliked each other when Ross and Charity slept together, they had since built a friendship, making the confrontation even more complicated. As soon as Ross arrives at the farm, he realizes Mac is not behaving normally. Their tense conversation soon develops into a furious argument before the pair begin fighting on the barn mezzanine. During the struggle, Mac pushes Ross over the edge. Lawrence insisted Mac never intended to kill Ross. In that split second, his only goal was to lash out and cause him pain rather than end his life. After Ross falls, Mac walks away from the scene. The actor suggested Mac is forced to bury his emotions almost immediately because he goes straight into survival mode. As a result, he has little opportunity to process what has happened, though those feelings could easily resurface in the future. Lawrence also pointed out that Sarah and Jacob are still unaware of Layla's true parentage. He believes the secret is bound to come out eventually, although exactly when that happens, and what consequences it will bring, remains in the hands of the show's writers and producers. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weekday at 8 p.m. Episodes are also available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX and YouTube.